2, 1.
Welcome into the WVLT Newsroom, your election central headquarters for the 2022 midterms. I'm Amanda Hara. Thanks for joining us. We do have coverage across the state of Tennessee at this hour. We have crews who are in Nashville waiting as Governor Bill Lee is set to make his acceptance speech. The Associated Press calling him the winner of that race. We also have our John Piersos live in Knox County for us tonight, where trouble has been afoot at least one polling station this evening, where a series of issues with ballots, even printers, caused issues for some voters. John, we also understand that there were delays involved as well in this, and that some voters became so impatient they simply gave up and left. What are you hearing at this hour from the Solway polling place, John?
Solway Church of God in Hardin Valley, and like you alluded to, there were a lot of issues that led to major delays for people to cast their ballots here tonight. Some people I spoke with waited an hour and a half, 2 hours, even 2.5 hours to cast their ballot for this midterm election. And what went wrong tonight? Well, just a series of unfortunate events, really lack of supplies. A poll worker inside told me that at some point this afternoon, they simply ran out of ballots due to high demand, or high turnout rather, for the election today. And then after that, they had to start printing their own ballots one by one, which was a long process, slowed everything down, and that really backed up the entire line. And then once they started printing ballots, at some point they ran out of ballots to print. They ran out of paper. They ran out of printer toner even. So people were just stranded here waiting to vote, but had no way to vote because there simply weren't any ballots. Finally, after about 7 o'clock or so tonight, the Elections Commission did drop off new ballots, but that was a long process. They finally got everybody in the door to cast their ballot here tonight. But once those ballots came, it was a fairly quick process to get people through the door. But even with that, again, Amanda, it was an hour and a half minimum to get inside the door to cast their ballots. There were a few people leaving, not too many from what I saw. There were some people that were conflicted because they had little kids with them who said, you know, maybe I should leave. You know, my son has school to go to tomorrow. He has homework to get done. So it just made for a major inconvenience for a lot of people here tonight.
Any indication, John, that there will be any sort of accommodations made for people who simply couldn't wait in that line as those issues played out?
That, Amanda, I haven't heard. I do know that, I know the rule is as long as you're in line by 8, which is when this polling place closes, you are allowed to cast that ballot, and all those people have gone in. As you can see, the line behind me has diminished dramatically since 6:30, 7 o'clock. There really is no line. You can just walk in at this point. As for people that left, I have not heard from any of the poll workers. That's got to come from the Board of Elections.
And we are hearing from the election administrator for Knox County tonight, John, that he is incredibly shocked to see what he describes as huge voter turnout. He says tens of thousands more voters turned up today than they originally expected. Any indication that that may have played a role in some of these issues that we were seeing late tonight?
It certainly could have, Amanda. The poll worker I was chatting with earlier said they just simply did not have the supplies to handle the demand. And to give you an idea of what this place looked like, again, 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock tonight, this line went all the way to that door down there, down the steps. The line came all the way up the side of the church here to my right, around the corner, and then eventually snaked all the way through the parking lot to my right. So, I mean, this was, I'd say, over 100 people long. And by the time that last person got in, that was a 2-hour wait. They got in after 8 o'clock. So it was a very slow process. And it's very possible that lack of supplies or more turnout than what they were expecting is what led to that.
Yeah, and Knox County's election administrator was basically telling us within the last half hour or so that he was disappointed that so many people waited until today to vote, didn't take advantage of early voting, and those numbers he thought were a little lower compared to what he is seeing tonight, calling this, it's like presidential plus, what they would expect to see in that sort of scenario. So definitely some issues because of the unexpected voter turnout. I know at my polling location in Knox County, they said we are doing double what we would have expected to do today. We saw at the Bearden Middle School polling location 2-hour-long waits in some cases. Again, people saying, I have other things I have to do. I cannot stay in this line forever, and simply forfeited their right to vote because the line was just so long. John Piersos watching that situation for us tonight. How many people do you think are left in line? Are we pretty much at the end here?
We're pretty much, we're pretty much at the end right now. There are a few people kind of finishing up inside the gymnasium, inside the church. But as for the line outside, that is completely diminished.
All right, John Piersos reporting for us tonight. John Piersos, thank you. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these numbers as they're coming in. The Associated Press, as we reported at the top of this newscast here that we're offering you digitally. Associated Press calling Bill Lee, the incumbent, of course, Republican Bill Lee, as the governor, the winner of the governor's mansion for a second term, defeating Democratic challenger Jason Martin. We're also watching some other races here. Diana Harshbarger, the incumbent in the U.S. House District 1 race, seems to be quite ahead of Cameron Parsons, her Democratic challenger. And another race that folks are watching closely as well is incumbent Congressman Tim Burchett for the U.S. House District 2 seat. Mark Harmon is the challenger. These are the latest numbers at this hour. And we also have members of our team stationed across East Tennessee, and of course we are also our sister station live in Franklin tonight for us, south of Nashville in Williamson County, where Governor Bill Lee is slated to make his acceptance speech any moment now. And we also have Will Puckett, who is standing by live in the studio with a deeper dive at some of it looks like something may be happening here in Franklin, where the governor is expected to speak any minute now. We'll keep our eyes on that as we work to go to Will Puckett, who is using some of our election night tools that could potentially help us get a little closer look at how some of these votes are shaking out. Which counties are reporting at this hour, where they're leaning. So it really gives us an opportunity to dive a little bit deeper there. So Will Puckett has been focusing on some of the amendments that were on the ballot. If you voted today, you saw those, a couple different ones, one of them pertaining to slavery, and another pertaining to who is allowed to run for public office when we're speaking about religious representatives. So Will Puckett has some of these details for us, and we'll get to him in just a moment. But if you're joining us just now, a reminder that the Associated Press is calling the governor's race. Incumbent Bill Lee is the winner, according to the Associated Press. You can see by quite a bit. Now, again, not all precincts are reporting at this hour, so these numbers are subject to change, but the Associated Press has Bill Lee will spend another term in the governor's mansion, defeating Democratic challenger Jason Martin in that race. Again, we'll pop back out to Franklin, where we are expected to hear from the governor at any minute now. We have been waiting for him to share an acceptance speech among that crowd in Franklin. By the way, if you are just joining us, the WVLT News app, you can watch these results roll into the app live on your phone. That's a great tool that you kind of have at your fingertips. So we've got all these different watch parties happening across the state, and this is an opportunity for you to kind of have your own watch party with your phone as we continue to wait for some of these issues that are at hand and races that are still open to be called. Okay, Will Puckett can hear us. So we're going to pop over to him here. Will, you are looking at some of the amendments and how specific counties within Tennessee are leaning towards some of those amendments. So why don't you share with us what you're seeing with some of this technology that we're able to use this year?
Quarters, Amanda, and what we can see right now is we're going to take a look at the four on the ballots. This specific one is addressing the removal of a slavery exception that currently
exists within the state constitution in Tennessee. If you look back to some of our reporting throughout this election cycle, this third amendment will remove the exception for slavery for someone who has been convicted of a crime. And so a yes vote would remove that and make it plain Jane wording in the Tennessee state constitution that slavery is forbidden in all parts in the state of Tennessee. As it stands right now, almost 80% of the votes already in are in favor of removing the wording that's currently in there and making every exception of slavery in Tennessee illegal. And we do have a couple of East Tennessee counties in, and the first one we'll go ahead and jump into right now is Cumberland County, where 82% of voters have voted yes in favor of amendment number 3, again, removing the slavery exception. We do know now Sevier County, the way they have voted, 79.6%, just more than 7,000 voters saying to take that out of the process, to take that slavery exception out. Real fast, Amanda, I will go into the Amendment 1, the one that a lot of people have been looking at, and it is still heavily right now with 4% of Tennesseans voting to ban union requirement. Again, that's that right to vote. This really would only mean that it's now in the state's constitution. It's already a law in the state of Tennessee. Right now, we're looking at just shy of 70% of votes in, 4% reporting on that Amendment 1. Yes, right now leading heavily in the state of Tennessee. But again, right now, by the technology that we have, we only have 4% reporting. But right now, all 4 amendments at last check are pretty heavy yes votes right now, Amanda.
And Will, when we look at the slavery amendment, who's voting no on this? No, don't remove it from the Constitution. Can we talk a little bit more about that?
Well, right now, a lot of the worry going in from a lot of elections officials is that people were just incredibly unfamiliar with what a lot of these amendments would do. And so a no vote would keep only in the Tennessee Constitution a pathway for slavery or servitude for someone who has been convicted of a crime. That's the terminology that they're using. And so a no vote would keep that in there. Right now, as it reads, the Tennessee Constitution has a pathway for slavery or servitude for anyone convicted of a crime. A no vote would keep that in the Tennessee Constitution. And so as far as there's about 20% of voters in the counties we have so far across East Tennessee who have that support still in there. So as we look, we're about 20.4% in Sevier County. If we jump over to Jefferson County, 21% are still voting no to keep that wording in there. If we head a little bit further northeast, Claiborne County, nearly 30% of voters in Claiborne County right now are saying that they want to keep the wording in there right now that would allow slavery for someone convicted of a crime in Tennessee. Scott County's at 25%, and then if we get over to Fentress County, they're at just shy of 30%, into Cumberland County, under 20%. Amanda, again, this would remove a pathway in the Tennessee Constitution to allow slavery or servitude as a form of punishment for someone convicted of a crime. If we go ahead and back out to just the totals, again, almost 80% of Tennesseans as a whole are saying yes, remove that from the state constitution, but nearly a couple counties in East Tennessee going 30% to keep that in there.
And this is something that Tennessee has a long history with. We know that back in the coal mining days in parts of East Tennessee, prisoners were brought from prisons and used as free labor in some of these coal mines. And so we definitely know that what we're talking about, you know, in not so recent past was a reality in parts of Tennessee. Will Puckett is watching some of those amendments for us tonight. You're also watching some of the races. Anything else interesting or of note standing out to you tonight?
As of not right now, we'll go ahead and pop this. It was called quite a bit ago. This is what you're looking with just 2% reporting from that governor's race, called very early in the night after those results were in. Right now, only one county in Tennessee is colored blue in this. Right here is the county. But Amanda, if we put in on heat right now, not many votes in right here in Haywood County, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that. I did just lose you, so I will not be able to hear you if you go ahead and talk, Amanda, but that's what we're looking at right now.
All right, Will Puckett joining us from the studio. Will, thank you. Will is also, of course, getting ready for some of our live cut-ins that we offer throughout election night. Again, we are continuing to wait for the governor to make his acceptance speech. The Associated Press calling the race for governor, naming Bill Lee, of course, the incumbent, the Republican, as the winner for a second term. He will spend a second term at the governor's mansion. If you're just joining us and missed us at the top of this broadcast, we have been covering a series of ballot issues at certain polling locations, including the Solway location in Hardin Valley, that's in Knox County, where election authorities are telling us that a series of issues with printers and with printing ballots significantly delayed the voting process for some people who reported to us that they waited for about an hour and a half in line just to be able to vote because of some of these hiccups and delays. We're hearing from the administrator of elections in Knox County that they were basically blindsided by the number of people who turned out to vote today. He's telling us he's disappointed that people didn't take advantage of early voting and just kind of came out in full force tonight. He says that the voter turnout was tens of thousands of more voters in Knox County than they had originally expected to get tonight. So that could be part of the reason for some of these hiccups that we have seen across Knox County tonight. He said that he was incredibly shocked to see these big numbers and that he was a little disappointed people didn't take the early option to vote early and alleviate some of these issues. Gwendolyn Dupree has been, watching the Republican Watch Party for us in Knox County tonight, which is being held at the Crown Plaza Hotel in downtown Knoxville. And we're going to hear from her in just a moment as she gets set up there. Gwen, thumbs up if you can hear me and you're ready to rock. All right, take it away, Gwen.
Good evening to all of our viewers. This is the first time that we're starting to see a crowd coming in to the Summit Ballroom here inside the Crown Plaza. We've been here since 4 o'clock this afternoon, and we're starting to see several people inside here. We did just see our first candidate for the night. We're assuming that are expecting they'll slowly trickle in here as some of them were at the polls trying to get that last one-on-one interactions with voters here. But we do see the incumbent Dr. Briggs, Richard Briggs. He is here among the crowd. And just offhand, we also have the Sheriff Tom Spangler is somewhere in the crowd as well. Some familiar faces. Some of the who's who Republicans are inside right now. There is a monitor tracking all the votes that come in. That's slow. It's going to be, we're expecting a slow trend tonight just because of some of the hiccups we've seen with those ballots throughout the county. This evening, we just went around the corner. Do I need to drop out, Amanda?
Yes, Gwen, we're going to take the governor. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. What a night. What a special night this is for me and for Maria. Being the governor of this state has been the honor of my life. And I want to thank you and the people of Tennessee for giving me and Maria the opportunity to serve again. Thank you. You know, in a republic, the people decide what happens by choosing leaders whose ideas they like the best. And tonight, and evidently all across the country, the people have spoken clearly. And we are expecting to win by a large margin. And that makes me feel good, that while that feels good, it's important. Because what it means is that our ideas have resonated with people from one end of the state to the other. The people are trusting us to improve the economy. They're trusting us to fight crime. They're trusting us to have safe schools and schools that are successful. And we better not disappoint them. And we won't disappoint them over the next 4 years. Before I want to get into all of that I want to say tonight, I will say this. Political people cringe when I say this, and when I decided to, or was thinking about running a few years ago, the political expert said to me, you know, you can't win a campaign without running negative ads. And I just have to say that our positive only campaigns are now 2-0. So maybe and I hope that others will do the same across this country. Our country could use it. Thank you for your vote and for your confidence. And to those who did not vote for me, I want people to know that I take it very seriously, the responsibility that I have to be the governor for all of Tennessee. Because we all do want the same thing. I've said 100 times before. People want a good job and a good school for their kid and a safe neighborhood. And I wake up every day thinking about that. We've gotten a whole lot done in the last 4 years, but I decided to run again because I think we have a lot more work to do. And I thank you for giving me the chance. You know, our economy remains very strong in this state. In spite of the national headwinds that have made it more difficult for Tennessee businesses and Tennessee families to be successful. But we have the leading economy of all states in America, and we've done so with the lowest tax burden on our citizens of any state in America. We've expanded our workforce. 75,000 jobs have been added since we came into office. We are at the lowest unemployment rate in our state's history. We have lowered the number of rural distressed counties from 15 to 10, and we're not done. We brought more vocational and technical and agricultural education into our schools, and all of these things equate to one thing, and that is more opportunity for all of Tennesseans. I'm very proud of the fact that we have made historic investments in our public education system, and we have passed teacher pay raises every year since we've been here. I'm also proud of the fact that we have given more school choices for parents who want something a little different for their kid. And I'll remind you for the next 4 years and remind people all across this state that those two ideas are not in conflict with each other. We can fund public schools and provide alternative opportunities for children at the same time if we are committed to funding students and not systems. And as I watch these elections across the country, politicians from all stripes all across this country, if they learn one thing from this election, it's this. You pay a steep political price if you don't pay attention to parents. And in this state, we have paid attention to parents and will continue to pay attention to parents going forward. We're also going to keep fighting crime while many cities, especially violent crime, while many cities in our country and states across this country have debated in the last couple of years whether to even fund their police departments. In Tennessee, we've made a commitment to law enforcement. Tennessee has invested $100 million in local law enforcement agencies. We have doubled down on officer recruitment and training so that we can really fight crime at its source. And it's starting to pay off. We have state troopers and patrol officers from all over the country coming into this state because they understand that we are committed and that we have their back. And I think about our priorities over the next 4 years. I want us to talk about one other thing. We have got to tackle the issue of infrastructure. I hear about this every day, whether it's at a political event, a campaign event, or at a meeting in my office or sitting around your dinner table. I bet you talk about the fact that there is too much congestion, too much traffic, and too many potholes. We are simply not building enough and maintaining enough roads in this state to keep up with the incredible growth that's happening from one end of the state to the other. And it's not just a big city problem, it affects everyone. Because investing in solving big city congestion drains funding away from rural communities. This is a problem that we are studying, and we're looking at ideas on how to solve this problem. You're going to be hearing a lot more about that starting tomorrow even. But I'll tell you this, we have a very strong budget in this state, and I commit to you that we will diligently work, tirelessly work, to figure out a way to invest in our roads and bridges in this state without raising your taxes and without going into debt. So I won't continue to talk about what we're going to do because tonight is really about celebrating. Thank you for being here with us to celebrate. It's about celebrating. It's about thanking people. First, I want to thank my campaign staff. You know who you are, each one of you. You worked relentlessly over the past months. County captains, field staff, our volunteers, if you wrote a check to this campaign, if you put out a yard sign, if you came here tonight or came to an event, you made it look easy for us to win this campaign, but I know it wasn't easy. So to all of you who worked so hard on this campaign, and especially my campaign staff, I want to say thank you. I also want to thank someone else. You all know that my wife, Maria, has been battling cancer for the last several months. And it's been tough, but she's tougher. And you also know that she is a first lady who has really worked to serve Tennesseans all over this state in some of our most distressed areas, and she loves what she does. In the last few months, she hasn't been able to do it because she hasn't been able to be out and about. And we were actually concerned she wasn't going to be able to be here tonight, but she couldn't stay home. So if you would please welcome my wife and I.
Thank you all so much. Actually taller than I thought behind this thing. That's kind of nice. Must be the 4-inch heels. This campaign obviously has been a little bit different in a lot of regards than it was 4 years ago. I certainly have not been a part of it for most of it. But I'm really, really glad to be able to be here tonight, and even more glad to see all of you here celebrating with us tonight. Thank you so much. So many of you standing here and so many across the state have been standing in the gap for me. and lifting up prayers on my behalf. And for that, I just wanted to say thank you. Truly grateful. I definitely have been overwhelmed and very humbled by all the phone calls, texts, cards, gifts that I've received. But even more than those, I've just been so grateful and deeply touched for the many, many prayers that have been said on my behalf and for Bill. And God is answering your prayers. Be encouraged. He is answering them, and I'm doing well. And for that, I'm truly grateful. His kindness has been great and very evident in this journey so far. And cancer, there's nothing really good about cancer at all, but there are some things in it that have come out of it that are good. And one thing for me is that it's just shown me what I am grateful for and has made that even more pronounced in my life. And so grateful for all of you here tonight and for the people who have supported us the last 4 years and especially in the last few months. I'm so grateful to my team who has carried on the Tennessee Serves initiative without me and without skipping a beat. So grateful to my family and friends who have rallied around me in so many ways I can't even count. I'm grateful to the Lord for the goodness and mercy that He's shown me so far on this journey. And I'm especially grateful to this guy right here for his love and support and for just walking beside me from the very beginning on this road I'm on. So very grateful. So sweet. Great to see you tonight.
4 years ago, isn't she remarkable? 4 years ago, I said that I believe that Tennessee could lead the country, and I think that we are. Thousands of people are flocking to this state because Tennessee reminds them that America hasn't lost her way. I was campaigning with some folks in East Tennessee this week, and I had a fella come up to me and shake my hand, and he said something that was very telling. He said, I just moved my family from New York to Tennessee, and I have to tell you, I feel like I've moved back to America. Tennessee makes people feel that way. Tennesseans make people feel that way. Tennessee makes people feel that way because of the people that live in this state, and I think that we always will. Thank you for who you are and for what you are, for what you have made this great state, for how you have made Tennessee a beacon to America. We have much to be thankful for. We have much to do going forward, and I commit to you that we will do that. May the Lord continue to grant His great favor on the state of Tennessee. Thank you, and good night.
Governor Bill Lee ending his acceptance speech from Williamson County in Franklin, just south of Nashville tonight. Of course, bringing his wife, First Lady Maria Lee, on stage with him, who, of course, is in the midst of a cancer battle. That was one of his big thank yous tonight during his acceptance speech. He also touted the fact that his positive-only campaign and his commitment to that is now 2-0. He says it's proof positive that that sort of approach can be done in the political world, and also touted various accomplishments throughout his first initial term, including teacher raises, more school choices for parents, low taxes, and a low unemployment rate. We are also watching what the Democrats are doing tonight. We're at the watch party in Knox County. Our Sam Luther has an update on that tonight.
Democratic Party tonight is looking to do something they say they have not done since the 80s. It's been decades since they say they have had at least 3 representatives here in Knox County. There are 7 Democrats on the ballot tonight that are going to be here in the Bearden area watching the results.
All right, having some issues there with Sam. We'll try to get back to that. He will, of course, be live throughout the night for us on WVLT. If you want to watch the races and the results pouring in, you can do that live in the WVLT News app. We have all the election results updating live for you throughout the night there. If not, we'll see you back on WVLT News at 11. Have a great night, and thanks for joining us.